Good evening, you're watching Newsx. I'm Megha Sharma, and we are taking a look at the malls and especially the retail sector and how it is being affected. Now, while the standalone shops, standalone stores, and even e-commerce have been given a free leeway when it comes to opening up, why is it that a stepmotherly treatment is being given to the malls of the country? To answer that very question and also to decide what are going to be the solutions and step-by-step processes to ensure and boost consumer confidence, as well as getting the governments from across the states in the country to come together in uniformity and open up the malls, open up the retail sector that goes ahead and employs millions and millions of people and provides livelihoods to up to 250 million crore and more people. So that is very important. And on this panel with me are a special bunch of guests, very, very prominent people. Arjun Sharma, who's the chairperson of Select Group. I also have with me Pankaj Ranjan, who's the CEO of Virtuous Mall, Virtuous Retail. Pushpa Bector, Executive Director, DLF Shopping, is going to join us in just a short while. Shubhranshu Pani, who is the MD, Retail, JLL, also joins me on the broadcast. Kavindra Mishra, MD and CEO, House of Anita Dongre Limited, also joins me on the broadcast. Welcome on the show, gentlemen. And without wasting too much time, let's go straight dive into this. Arjun, how exactly do you think is the current sentiment of the people? Has the consumer who's sitting at home right now gotten frustrated and wants to get out and go to his favorite shopping malls and shop and enjoy and have a gala time again? It's far too long.
Well, the consumer sentiment is actually fairly stifled at the moment because people have been stuck in homes in their properties for now over 2.5 months. There is frustration. They want to come out. We're getting the sense, in fact, our shopping centers are getting calls from customers saying that when are you opening? What kind of stores will open? Is, for example, our favorite cosmetic store open? The few retail shops that have opened in the high streets have seen fairly buoyant sales, ranging from about 35 to 70%. So that goes to show that yes, there is a consumer sentiment out there that's obviously wanting to come out, go to their favorite shopping centers, and I think just kind of hang in there, absorb the energies of what they kind of were used to doing over the years. There's currently a lack of F&B, there's a lack of the retail experience, and I think as and when the government opens us, we will see this demand coming back for sure.
Right, absolutely. Shubhranshu, you are managing the retail realty and you are in the know of all things that are happening. Karnataka seems to be opening up to the very idea of going about bringing malls back into business. How does it look like for other parts of the country?
So I think what we have seen so far is most of these developments have been done in the consultation with center. And definitely the center will be consulted for a broader scope of things. From my point of view, what we have been seeing is the center wants to have 2-3 choices for all the states to choose from. But at the end of the day, it will be the state which will decide. So Karnataka is proactive, and I know a couple of other states, Delhi, Haryana, etc., are proactive. It will start in those places where the offices have started first. That's for sure. I think the good thing that the offices are already up for 2 weeks or so, and I think now it is easier for the government to figure out that if the offices can open, then the retail should also be permitted. I'm hopeful that it should start very quickly. As Arjun said, too much of anticipation. We are seeing excellent sales for the stores which have opened. The first few weeks have been really, really good. And I think retail should open up. The economy should start moving.
Pankaj, your views, especially when you see the shopper stops and the lifestyle of the world opening up in a place like Bengaluru, is a a city of a cosmopolitan city. Do you think a motherly treatment being given to the malls, it's not fair?
I mean, I won't say that it's fair or not, because I think the government has a lot on their plate to look at, because they're looking at larger objectives. But yes, I think they've taken directionally a step in the right direction in startly, slowly opening up businesses. High streets have started opening, e-commerce has started delivering. airlines have started to, started their services as well. So it's a question of time, and I think they should look at more proactively and open now the shopping centers as well. See, because the shopping centers provide a far more congenial and a more secure environment than a high street does as well. For example, we worked out very detailed SOPs right from how we're running right from the parking systems to the customer when he comes into the shopping center. So whereas if you look at it in a shopping center, there is a certain level of understanding and a maturity between the retailer, the owner, or the operator of the shopping center, and the customer who has that comfort that he's coming to a secure environment. The reason is because we have the SOPs in place. We always had, there was no clear guidelines in terms of enforcing, in terms of what security measures a shopping center has to do. But if you look at it, if you go to any prominent shopping center, there is adequate security and comfort level which is given to a customer when he comes in. And I think in this era as well, we should be able to provide, all of us should be able to provide that as well. If you look at the Shopping Center Association of India, they have come up with detailed guidelines for the shopping centers as a model code to adopt as well. And we've seen lots of other shopping centers talking about in terms of what they are doing as proactively to make the customer feel safe and also take proactive. I'll give a very simple example. It is not about we are willing to sacrifice revenue and just to give customer the satisfaction of they're coming to a safe environment. We are saying there has to be a certain distance between two vehicles which are parked, whether it's two bikes or between two cars as well. So there is absolutely least amount of contact which the customer comes in when he wants to come to a shopping center. Can you do this on high street? High street you can't, because there's nobody enforcing it as well. Whereas in a shopping center we can enforce it. Right? We can actually, we've appointed something called social distancing officers on our floor in our shopping center. Who are the guest relation executives who will be going out and monitoring the people, whether they're maintaining the distances on the ground. The retailers are maintaining that on the others and helping them to maintain that management on the ground itself. So these are smaller things, but I think they go a long way to give a comfort level and also give the protection to our customer that he's coming into a much more safer and secure environment today.
Right, absolutely. Kavinder, if you could come in over here, especially the point picked up that, there has been so much debate about it, so much politics about it. The air conditioning system, there is a fear that the virus is airborne. There are other reports go by, no, it is not airborne. So the fear amongst the customer remains. Are there any sort of protocols that are being followed? And in Uttar Pradesh, they've already started opening up malls saying there is not going to be any air conditioning. And at a 46, 47 degrees Celsius temperature, how exactly is that going to be a feasible thing?
Megha, first of all, thank you for giving all of us a chance to, speak out our thoughts and giving your platform. No, I think it's a very valid point you talked about air conditioning. So as all of us know that right now, it's mostly the high streets which are open. So if you can imagine in Lucknow or in Dehradun, if you have opened a store, or in Delhi, in Lajpat Nagar, and if the temperature is 47, 48 degrees, you have opened up the store, but I don't think any consumer would be going and shopping at that point of time. And once you start moving towards the opening of a mall, and if you are talking about not having the ACs on, I think that's something which we really need to think about, because right now, while all of us as RAI and I'm sure as SCI, we have spoken to the government with a lot of demands. I think the biggest demand right now is ease of convenience of shopping for the consumer. So opening of the malls, opening of the stores is one thing, but are we making it convenient for him to shop, him or her to shop? I think that's also something which is equally important. So I'm sure that the government has to look into this. I'm sure. So Arjun talked about the norms, which I think the CPWD norms, which he talked about. I think that has to really move fast, and the local authorities, the implementers on ground, have to understand that and let the stores function properly. Because otherwise, we might open the stores, but we might not get any revenue out of that, because we have to make it convenient for the consumer.
Arjun, coming back to you, air conditioning, and then also deciding or prioritizing within the malls, should a multiplex be opened? Should a salon be open? Should a restaurant, or should that food court be open vis-a-vis other stores? And there have been various solutions that have been coming forth, with the Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, saying, an odd-even basis formula could be applied over here as well. That seems to be his favorite formula and go-to thing to go on to when it comes to perhaps vehicles and now the shops. So Is there any sort of a plan that is in your head? Listen, we are not going to be opening salons because these are human contact places. We are not going to be opening up restaurants. We are not going to be opening up the food courts. How exactly is a consensus being drawn?
Well, first of all, let me just refer to what Pankaj said. On the SOPs that have been created by the Shopping Center Association of India, it's actually a 48-page document. And we've had the advantage of seeing how other countries have opened before us, Megha. Like, for example, Hong Kong, Dubai, China, United States, Australia never shut, actually. So we've actually been all following what's been happening in different parts of the world. How have the lockdowns been opened? And we've been learning from their experience. And every part of the industry that you mentioned, whether it is cinemas, whether it is salons, whether it is food courts, restaurants, have all over this period of the last 2.5 months created some amazing SOPs. So I would really trust. So for example, when Mr. Ajay Bijli of PVR tells me that, listen, my cinemas are safe, I would be the first person to go out there and see the show, first day, first show. And I would invite the Chief Minister of Delhi to come and see the show with me, because I believe that shopping centers, cinema halls are probably best equipped to deal with all aspects of sanitization, social distancing. And really, as Kavinder said, there is now this very clear norm on the CPWD norms and the ISHRAE norms of air conditioning. The biggest fear that the government and the NDMA, which is the National Disaster Management Association, had was, how will the air conditioning work? Is it airborne?
Yeah.
And we have shown to them that the air quality can be monitored. So, for example, I'll give you 3 or 4 highlights of how the air conditioning would be. Now, the fact is that all our return air grills will be shut to the extent of 75%, as against a normal fresh air change of 1 fresh air change per hour. We're doing between 3 to 4 fresh air changes per hour. Our grills and return airs are being sanitized every day. The humidity levels are being maintained at 40%. The air conditioning will be maintained between 26 to 28 degrees, even at high cost, because the return airs will be shut. So the shopping centers have really, over the last 2 months, worked intensively with experience of what has been happening in the other parts of the world. Now, there is no such thing as foolproof, but I think if you apply social distancing and you make sure that everyone is wearing a mask, and as Pankaj said, if you have people who are making sure that there's social distancing, it'll work. Now, coming to your point on this odd even, we've kind of had a chat also with the Delhi government, and we understand where they're coming from. And I think they did a sensible step when they were looking at it. They didn't know, because there was this bad experience about the liquor stores opening. When the liquor stores opened across the country, there were these mayhem, there were lines that were unfathomable. So they really didn't want that to happen again. So I think they've had that experience. They've looked at it. So what we've explained to them is that we ourselves, for example, if let's say Select City Walk has on weekdays has about 35,000 people, we said we'll cap it to 10,000 at 33%. So we are responsible ourselves. I work in that same building. I have colleagues in that building, and I'm equally concerned with their safety. So I think shopping centers will kind of make sure that we open in a graded manner, in a responsible manner, to take into account, because a lot of this stuff is new to all of us. It's not as if we've been practicing this for years or months. These SOPs are new, so we will all learn on the go. And I think I'm very confident that leading shopping centers will do a great job. And I, as Pankaj said, would be happier going to a DLF mall or a Ambiance or a Pacific or a Select than maybe going to a high street retail store where I'm not sure about the sanitation, the carrying capacity. And so I guess time will tell. It's now a matter for the government to open us, and I hope they do so soon.
Yes, absolutely. Shubhranshu, your views on this, especially when it comes to the realty side of things. How has the market been reacting? I know retail realty has slumped at an all-time low, 65%. How is the market going to look up in the coming months?
So I think there are really good positive green shoots of wherever the shopping has opened on the high streets. Initial few weeks sales in most places have been over 50% for most categories. Only very few categories are between the 35 to 45%. What they are also seeing is that, and I think the biggest struggle for the retailers is that in the restrictions and the different variations in the way they can open. In some places, they can open alternate days. In some places they can open for X number of hours, which is like, between 9 to 6 or 6 to 9. And that I think is an operational problem. But having shut down the business for a long while, all of them are grateful that it is open and the customer is back and buying. The type of purchases they are doing doesn't seem to be just a pent-up demand. It seems to be a regular demand. Of course, what they buy has changed. The consumer preference has changed, and we are just hoping, and it's very early, it's just 2-3 weeks, it's not a month. We are just hoping that this pace continues to go upward. I think opening up the malls, like Arjun and Pankaj said, will be a very much safe option because the malls are very responsible to make sure that they maintain the hygiene, etc. As you know, any place which gets into a COVID situation again gets into a lockdown for some time, or will need to get a proper, deep sanitation done, which will mean a 2 to 3 days lockdown. So they are going to be very careful about the SOPs. The shopping center industry and the retailers, even the retailers inside the stores, have been putting in effort for the last 2 weeks, just preparing for this. They are educating the consumers on what they are doing to make them feel safe. Every retailer will have their own videos and WhatsApps and their SOPs displayed and shared with the consumer. Every mall will have the rules displayed and giving the comfort to the retailer, to the shoppers, that they're a great place to be. So I think it's time that the government should let it start and happen. The offices have started, so people are following the rules. If you go and see today, I mean, JLL offices in 4 places have started, and we are all following the rules. We are at 25% in some states, 30% in some states, and 15% in some states. So we will follow the rules which we adhere to and which we agree.
Okay, all right. So that's the point taken. But also, I want to have Pankaj come in over here. Pankaj, all that is good, but what happens when the shopping mall is open? Because similar situation has been witnessed in my office as well. We were going full strength for 2 months, and then suddenly we had to take a break because there was one coronavirus case that had been detected, which led to the complete sealing of the building. It had to be shut down for 2 to 3 days for sanitization process, for the disinfection process. Those people who had been directly contacted and indirectly contacted as well had to be tested. And if, looking at clusters is a difficult process. And at least when you're in an office, it's a closed environment. You know everybody, so you can just figure out who's meeting who and everything. It is going to just expand exponentially when you have people coming in from across the city into one mall, and then there is more chances of that cluster being bigger and bigger. So that's the fear. How do you resolve that?
So, Megha, first thing, let's be very practical about an understanding. We definitely believe there is a pent-up demand. We definitely believe there are customers who are locked in and who would want to come back to shopping centers, either to fulfill certain needs or to just come out for, just because they have been restricted for such a long time, more than 2 months now, sitting at their homes. But I don't think we expect that it will come back immediately to the large, huge amount of footfalls which will come in. We believe now it's a very, very serious shopper who really wants to come in. And I'll give a very simple example. We run shopping centers in tier 1 and tier 2 markets. And a lot of the tier 2 markets were far more resilient before this lockdown happened compared to other cities. Like example, I'll take of Chandigarh, Surat and Nagpur. Before the Janata curfew got announced, the footfalls, I have talked to colleagues, friends, and people in the industry like Arjun and the others, and DLF and the others, realized that this impact, and we looked at in Bangalore and Chennai, the impact in footfalls was much more. Compared to a Surat or a Nagpur or a Chandigarh, the impact in footfalls before the Janata curfew was only 20%, but the sales had not fallen. That means is the person who was just hanging around in the shopping center was not coming in. It's really somebody who wanted to buy, was wanting to had a need, or for a reason was coming to the shopping center. So obviously there will be a filtration of customers as well. Secondly, as Arjun said very rightly, is saying we will be also taking a very conscious step to restrict the movement of people in the shopping center. And I can tell you there are 3 sets of people who will be coming to the shopping center. One is the employees who are employed in the shopping center with us, who are managing the shopping center, whether it's our staff or our vendor staff. The second step is the employees of the retailer. And third is a customer. If I take our employees, and which are employed directly or indirectly by us and us retailers, we're taking a very detailed process of filtering and understanding the people who are allowed to come in and work. including entire travel histories are being taken from them. We are not allowing anybody, even if it's our own staff who's coming, who had gone back home to another city because our corporate office is being in Bangalore and one of the centers being in Bangalore, and he's gone back home to his village. We are making sure that the person has a compulsory quarantine of 14 days because allowed to come in. He has to report back. You cannot just float around in the shopping center. You have strict guidelines. They're signing undertakings wherein they have to understand social distancing in a proper way, because these are a lot of them are not well fluent with language norms, so even in local languages. So those, a lot of those things have been done. With customers, I think people are educated who come to shopping centers. If you ensure that you give them the help on the ground and educate them, they will make sure. So I think the outward incident to happen something like this is remote, but if it does happen, there is a full detailed SOP practice and in terms of a mock which has been done in terms of how will you react to that situation. But in case an unfortunate incident, we may have to shut down for a day to re-sanitize the environment. But as I said, I think that occurring, we're taking full precautions as shopping centers, and particularly we've looked and talked to each of them. And secondly, there is a protocol which has been put in place. Tomorrow there's an outward incident which happens also.
Kavindra, you want to take this? How exactly are you going to decide that when the customer is coming to your store and decides to go to the trial room and get into a pair of jeans or a pair of or a t-shirt, and then decides, okay, maybe he's tried on 5 of them? How exactly is that step going to take to ensure that there's disinfection? Are you planning to have UV tunnels? Are you planning to have those UV boxes that are now being explosively advertised on all social media? What's the step-by-step process that is going to be taking place in your store?
So Megha, I will just also add to what I think Pankaj has spoken and Arjun has spoken, and then I will also answer the query which you have just raised. See, we have now close to around 50 points of sale which are open in high streets, and to the data which everybody is sharing, the numbers are quite encouraging. In fact, actually, at some point of time, we were looking at maybe we'll have only 20% of the sale happening in the first month. We are anywhere close between 45 to 50. So that's a good sign. That's a positive sign. And it is not any pent-up demand for a place like Bangalore, where now our stores are open for more than 3 weeks. We are seeing that the sales have not dropped. So if it's around 45-50% level, it's around that levels, which I think is a very positive sign for us. So there is, but what has happened is the walk-ins have dropped significantly. The conversions, as in the consumers actually who are coming in the store and buying, have increased dramatically. The basket size has also increased. So there are a lot of positive points which we have as retailers. Like everybody has spoken about a very detailed SOP which SCAI has shared. We also in RAI, which is the Retail Association of India, we also have a very strong SOP plan for each category, whether it's apparel or footwear, for all the categories. For example, you talked about if a customer comes into our store and she wants to try, right? So I think one thing is very clear: if the consumer is trying, then that particular piece is defeated and it is kept away for 48 hours.
Okay.
So it is kept away in such a way that it cannot be used again for any trials. So I think that is the level of rigor and diligence which we are using to ensure that we are minimizing our stuff. Also, what's happening is a lot of sales through WhatsApp is happening. So new channels of business have also opened up, right? So yesterday we had somebody in Hyderabad. We did a sale of around we did a bill of around 25 pieces for a customer who was shopping from Vijayawada, and she shopped from a Hyderabad store. So you will also see a lot of innovations also happening in terms of retail and trying and see how you are able to match this demand. So yes, the demand is there, and at both the ends, which is at the level of the malls as well as at the end of retailers, a lot of that, those steps are being taken to ensure that the safety of the consumer is not compromised.
Yeah, Arjun, same question to you, especially how do you fight the challenge of shutting your mall for 3 days just because you have to complete the complete disinfection process? And how do you reduce the number of coronavirus cases or clusters forming?
Well, I'll have to be God to answer that question, because I truly believe that we hope and pray that with all the precaution we take, that we don't have something like this. But yes, God forbid if case is detected, then I guess we have to do what the protocols are to clean up, to make sure we desanitize the place, and we do all the necessary precautions, because life and that comes before any commercial venture. I think we are all very responsible to realize that this is a very serious pandemic. It can affect lives, but we are taking a lot of precautions. So, for example, we've said that we would not recommend for people under the ages of, let's say, 10 or over the age of 65, or if anyone has any other comorbidity issue, that they shouldn't come to the shopping centers. We insist that they wear masks. There will be CCTV camera, which is covering the whole mall. For example, at our mall, we have some 350, 360 cameras, which will be constantly detecting now, purely are people wearing masks, and how soon can we reach someone who's not wearing a mask. So I guess if you take all those precautions, then we've seen that even if a particular case of a customer or a staff is detected with COVID, and we can see that he had taken the precaution and maybe he's not infected anybody. But these are risks, but those risks are equally applicable if you go into an airport or if you go to an open shopping center. So I guess, the issue is that, there is a herd immunity that has to develop in this economy. Unfortunately, none of us are going to be able to escape it from beyond a point. And I think we have to kind of deal with it. We have to make sure that we are strong enough. And, let's hope for the best. Let's just, presume that all of us are going to be responsible, take the necessary steps to protect all stakeholders, be it our customers, our colleagues, and of course ourselves. We're equally at risk in these shopping centers because our offices are there. But God forbid something happens, we will do what is necessary.
Absolutely. Pankaj, coming to you, we're talking about the same question. Solutions. We have figured out the challenges. You all have been having these brainstorming sessions via all these video conferencing and Zoom meetings and everything. What are the 3 big solutions that you have come up when it comes to specifics, talking about specifics and opening up the malls, and what is the protocol that is going to follow as this? Besides, obviously, we have the sanitization, the disinfection process, we have this thermal screening that is going to happen. But besides that, what is it that is going to help boost the consumer confidence to attract them back into the markets, back into the malls?
I think the first is a very simple communication to the customer and giving him that comfort that he's coming to a well sanitized environment. I think that's the confidence first, which you need to give to the customer and convey. As a shopping center, as together as a business body, as well as individually also, because we all are serving a lot more of the local communities who live around. So I think as the first is the communication process. And I think we're very, we're working as an industry body together also and individually as well to build that confidence in our customers in saying, please come back for it. We are coming to a well sanitized environment. Secondly, I think it's a lot about visual communication as well as also giving them the safety net in terms of the fact that what they see on the ground. Like for example, we've identified in a shopping center which are the typical risky touch points of a customer. For example, which is the first place, which is the escalator and the travelator. Escalator, travelators, and the elevators.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that the customer, there is minimum interaction with people and it is well sanitized? So we are putting communication as well as ensuring that the X number of people can actually get onto the elevator. Even at the escalator, we are putting reference material saying, please maintain a distance of at least 2 to 3 steps between 2 individuals when they get onto an escalator as well. When you go into the toilets as well, we're putting actually steps, stickers on the floor and just telling them, please wait. There will be a person who will be actually monitoring at the toilet, allowing X number of people particularly on high traffic days, on weekends, when you find typical traffic, and saying this many people can actually enter the toilet. And obviously we are leaving in the men's urinals as well as the wash basins and the others, ensuring that. Secondly, increasing the frequency of cleanliness in high touch point areas, which has to be done. So I think these are very simple things which need to be done, which are more what happened was when the first communication came out in saying prevention of coronavirus was wash your hands for 20 seconds. Now it's kind of ingrained in everybody's mind. And the same thing which we're doing with our people and also for our customers when they come to a shopping center. So keeping all those touch points in place. Secondly, we've always had this contactless dining option in our food court. And we're seeing a lot of retailers propagating their contactless shopping options as well. So I think it's all about moving, right, Governor said, moving the channel or the mediums to make them facilitate and give them the comfort level that to please come back to a shopping center is as safe as anywhere going to an office as well. For example, we've been ordering, everybody's been ordering deliveries at their homes for whether it's the groceries or the lockdown period as well. You're as much at risk, let's be very practical about it. But the fact of the matter is you have to be ensuring, are you comfortable with the fact that where you're ordering from, is that place would be maintaining the social standards which are required to as prevention measures? As long as we're able to do, I mean, definitely we're going to do that. As long as we're able to communicate effectively, I think the customer is going to come back for the shopping center.
Shubhranshu, your views?
So I think we all, especially the people who are going to come in the first few months for the shopping centers, will be really, really serious consumers. They're not going to be there just because, the malls are open and they go and hang out. The number of footfalls will genuinely be less. They will want to go into these shopping centers because they will believe and they will be visually seeing and hearing from people the measures taken. This is just not obvious in most high street stores. Today, if you go to a supermarket on a high street, you will see that they have, circles leading to the store where people wait. Now, that supermarket has social distancing. That supermarket sends in 5 people. And only 5 people, and unless one person comes out, one more person doesn't go. That the people who are working there are working with masks and gloves. That gives you a comfort, and that is where the organized supermarket players have maintained a level of safety perception and safety for the consumer. Shopping centers will be able to manage to do that because they have too much at stake. It's like the office building. It's like the office. Every office today is voluntarily maintaining all these things because it's too much at stake. We can't go into shutting the office again and, going into putting people in a harm's way. So I think the norms will be very strictly adhered in the shopping centers, more strictly than anywhere possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Those are all very, very important, insightful. Arjun, my question to you. Okay, fine. These protocols have been set up. SOPs have been aligned with what the government has been demanding. But is there some sort of regulation authority that is going to be with you every step of the way and decide, okay, fine, yes, this is right, yes, this is wrong. And when there is regulation, when there is monitoring of this entire SOPs being followed and guidelines being followed, one adheres to them much more strongly.
So, Megha, there's a whole bunch of SOPs that have come out of the government, in fact, too many, and there's so many changes. So we're still grappling with what the government really wants. But I think we're now kind of realizing that as shopping centers, we will probably cross the government guidelines. So, for example, even though the CPWD guidelines for air conditioning are in place, I know for sure that most shopping malls will do more than what the CPWD guidelines are and will cross to more international guidelines. Similarly, when it comes to social distancing, hygiene factors, sanitization, carrying capacity. So I think there are various norms that have been put into place. The government, from what we sense, and I can only do some guesswork, I think the center now wants to kind of move the responsibility to the state governments and say, listen, go out there, make your own norms, because each state has different issues. So for example, as we said, the state of Karnataka, the state of Delhi, Kerala, Haryana have been extremely positive. They realize that they need to open the economies, one, because jobs have to come back. The interconnectivity and linkages each of these jobs has, logistics, whether it's the consumption of energy, all that fuels the economy of the state. And of course, the big thing is the GST collections. The GST collections are less than 20% of the average of the year. And shopping centers in this country probably produce close to 400 to 500 crores of GST on a weekly basis, literally. Yeah. So it's massive numbers out there that is getting lost for the whole economy. So I think the whole game is now moving towards the states. The states will come up with norms that are, I think, which are already in touch with different industries, not just the shopping center. I think the hospitality industry, the Retail Association of India, the restaurateurs, the cinema halls, all are creating these SOPs. And I think they will probably empower the district magistrates and the SDMs below them, kind of make sure that there's some sort of monitoring. But I think most businesses will probably self-monitor. I think that is really where good governance is, because we can't go back to Inspector Raj. I think that will be a terrible thing to do. I think most responsible businesses will just go out there, comply with it, because at the end of the day, it's good business practice, and we're all sitting there ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would we do anything which is against our own lives and against the lives of our colleagues? So I think.
Absolutely. Shubhranshu, what do you think about this? Self-governance is the best governance, or do you think there needs to be a regulatory authority, maybe a health officer that is taking the rounds, which is going to be, I think initially it is going to be like that, but then do you want self-regulation as the go-to model, or initially at least a step in terms of having local authorities, having the implementation officers coming out over there and monitoring the entire situation?
So we call them the organized retail industry for the simple fact that they're more organized and they spend more on various parts of organization. So every shopping center will have a separate security system, a separate maintenance team, a separate housekeeping team. These all people have got operational procedures, etc. The COVID situation is just making it more stricter, but I am very confident and bullish that what the organized sector can do and is doing, especially if you see the retailers, what they're doing on the high streets, how they're maintaining hygiene, how they're maintaining social distancing, how they're maintaining product level hygiene. Somebody comes and uses a shoe, it gets disinfected before somebody else touches it. Somebody comes and uses apparel, it gets disinfected. So that they're doing, they're going to do that in the shopping center. Shopping centers have special teams before COVID, not only for COVID, for security, for housekeeping, for maintenance. And now they're going to have social distancing officers, somebody who takes care of this distancing, and they're voluntarily telling you that they'll have lesser number of people. They have cameras in place. You can go back and check it. So for them to not comply is something which can be easily checked. And they will comply because they have too much at stake. Because for them, it is the business, it's a core business, is to manage and maintain the shopping center. So if their business is that, they will manage it. I think it's something we should let them manage.
Also come into this and tell me, of course, this is one set of things that you need self-regulation. There is going to be increased surveillance when it comes to whether it's using technology, whether it's using manpower. That is all is done. But also when you go about, the sector has faced a lot of trouble. Obviously, 65% of it, the realty side of it, demand has completely dropped. On those lines, how do you manage to pay your employees, to retain every single one of them, and especially when we have the norms of having perhaps odd even system and maybe having lesser number of employees in a store and a multitasking sort of a situation coming across pan sectors?
See, yes, there has been, I would say, a temporary blip of about 2.5 months, which has affected the revenues and the profitability, or I would say the businesses of all shopping centers and retailers put together. And it's not small. I can tell you a mid-sized shopping center, a well-run mid-sized shopping center does sales of about 100 and 125 crores a month, even more. So, you're talking about 1,000 crores of sales of a company, which is of a large, not even an SME, what we call the MSME company, but we're talking about a mid-sized companies do 1,000 crores of sales in India. I would say more towards the larger. So you're talking about a shopping center generating that kind of revenue. So definitely it's going to hit revenues and the others. But I think all of us have taken it very positively right now, is that we understand that we believe that there is a situation which will get eased off very, very soon. So if it gets eased off very soon, I don't think there will be a big impact on the employees or on the strength of the organization to not bear their employees' cost. Yes, there are all kinds of companies. Some companies who have weaker balance sheets or do not have the sustained or enough cash flows or stacked up cash flows to sustain this, may resort to some corrective measures for the short to medium run. Because see, fundamentally, we all believe in one thing. It is because of this pandemic which is affecting the consumption. But the fundamentals of the business remain. So we have to only live through this period. And I think that period is within this financial year give or take a couple of months here and there. But by March 21, we'll be absolutely back to normal. Probably by Diwali is the stress test. So if we are able to cross Diwali to a certain reasonable number, and the first cut numbers are very encouraging, what Kavi has been talking about, and we're hearing other retailers have said openly as well, that sales are almost about 40-50%. So I think we should be able to sustain it. It could be temporary blips. But yes, if it lasts, the government lasts this much longer to not allow shopping centers, restaurants, and cinemas to open, then there could be a problem. And it's going to be very transparent that, no business can sustain forever, right? So there will be a problem there.
Mm-hmm. Arjun, your views, especially, I'd be very interested in knowing when you talk about, the retail sector, the organized retail and unorganized retail hold the maximum chunk, and e-commerce is just about 3% of the entire chunk that is of the retail industry. When e-commerce has been allowed, single stores have been allowed, a differential sort of a treatment for malls. Do you think this could have been done perhaps in the third lockdown, and had things been opened up then, it could have been not a win-win, but some sort of a consolation for the malls as well?
Well, yes, now in hindsight, we can certainly wish we had opened about 2 weeks ago when they were, this lockdown 3 was getting over. And it's what can one say? One has to just work with the government. I think the industry had made several representations to the Ministry of Home Affairs. We know that Niti Aayog greatly supported the opening of the malls. The Delhi government, Karnataka government, Kerala government, the state governments, a lot of them are very positive about it. So I guess now we have to just look forward. But I want to come to your point regarding the size of the retail market. Just to tell you as a size, we're about 64 lakh crore is the total retail market of this country. And approximately 11% of it is organized retail. And, it's a very large number out there. And for, let's say, companies like Kavinder and lots of other brands, it may be much more than 11% comes through modern retail with shopping centers. And there are about 1,650 shopping centers of different sizes in this country. So it's a very, very large industry. And when you look at the overall retail industry, we're actually the second largest employers in this country, about 10 to 11% of the entire workforce. And mind you, 98% of our workforce is blue collar workforce. So that's really where we are hiring the most basic entry-level people, salespeople. And today, there are thousands of them which are jobless because the centers have been shut. And of course, we want to work with the government. We realize that, as the Prime Minister said, agar jaan hai to jahan hai. So I think that period has been established. It's given us all the ability to realize what learnings there were. I think had it been opened about a month and a half back, I don't think we would have been as prepared as we are today. So I think we are more confident. We are more, I would say, ready to open this center in a graded manner. We will make small steps. And as Pankaj said, we're not expecting 30,000, 50,000 people a day to walk into the centers. It's going to be people. So one analysis we did actually, we did a consumer dip study in over about 2,000 of our own customers. We said, how often we look up to the mall? What is the ticket size? So we actually found that the frequency of visits will drop. That's for clear. And the size of the purchase may be 4x or 5x a normal ticket price, because you'll typically come in and buy all your needs in one go. You might just come in once in 10 days rather than trying to come in every day or every second, third day into a shopping center or do that. So I think the shopping patterns will certainly change, but the consumerism is certainly there to stay. And I think that is not going away anywhere.
Shopping patterns are going to change. Kavinder, is digital going to be the way ahead?
Digital, I think, it's all about the consumer. Wherever she or he is comfortable with, they will always go to that matter. So I think digital is a part of life. It is not something which anyone should be wishing away, because I think that's important. Will it increase post this crisis? I think there would be for a certain period, yes. Till the time there is no vaccination or there is a fear in the people's mind, yes, you will find that the contribution of online business for a lot of brands will go up. But finally, I think in a year or so, it will settle down. And I think everything coexists, because consumers don't think like offline, online. They always think wherever they are. So I think all the brands as well as the shopping centers, we need to work together to give that experience to the consumer, because she should be shopping in the stores for an experience, and they should be shopping in doing the digital buying for something else. So I think as long as we are able to understand that and we live together, I think that is something which is required, because that's the way of life. Consumers are changing, and together between the shopping centers and the malls and the brands, we need to work out how we are able to understand and tap the demand of the consumer, because we can't find the consumer. We can't find the consumer.
Yeah, it is an experience in itself when you're coming into the malls. And obviously we are social animals. We want that connect. So obviously it has to come back, and with increased vigor, and that's the hope. And that Diwali is what Pankaj has, and that's so fingers crossed over there. But I thank Arjun over because he has a prior commitment, and I thank him once again for joining us on this broadcast. A very, very insightful talk over there. We'll get you back again, Arjun, on one of our debates, perhaps when the markets open up, when the malls are opened up, and then you tell us what the experience has been. And it's obviously a trial and hit era. Trial and hit experience that is going to take you way ahead and modify it and remodify it. It's simply the same way how airports have been functioning, how trains have been functioning. They've been just modifying. It's a trial and error method that you've been doing. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Megha. Lovely meeting you all. Thank you. Good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But my question to you, Shubhranshu, over here, again, digital being the go-to reason for people to actually log on now, have separate teams formed, and more pressure has been given, more number of people being employed when it comes to the digital media of it, and digitization, e-commerce part of it. And then later on, figure out how your physical sales are going to happen. Is that the trend? Is that what the trend is?
Not really. I think, I think definitely we should accept that in this time when people were completely at home, they definitely benefited from the digital thing. From the retailer's perspective, they're very happy with that there is a digital medium and at least sales are happening and the machine is moving. They're very happy that, most retailers don't think of it as digital and physical. They all think omni-channel. From their point of view, the customer should be shopping everywhere, wherever he feels comfortable, at whatever time he feels comfortable, and whatever he wants to buy. If that is the mantra, they are just like telling whoever buys from wherever they buy, we are game. Now, do the physical retailers need to be worried? I don't think so. What's happening is today, as we speak, for the last 1 month, the shopping center owners are very conscious that for the first 5-6 months, there will be a fear. People will come to the shopping center less. So they are saying that, can we collaborate with the online players? And many people have started doing it. That, okay, you don't need to come into the shopping center. You shop, or you come into the shopping center, see it. We will deliver a fresh piece to your home. You don't need to try it in the store. There are others who are saying that, you don't need to come. You want to buy from the nearest shopping center. We have the shopping center on the online, or that store from your nearest shopping center will deliver it. So a lot of these things, collaborative things, will start coming in, which is a great thing for the industry. At the end of the day, these are two different experiences. One is an experience of convenience at my time, whenever I want to shop, and another is an experience of socializing, of feeling, of trying things where everybody else is noticing. And people don't use trial rooms just per se. They go into the trial room, wear it out, and step out. Their only reason to step out is they want others to see, or they want to see how others perceive them. So I think those different types of things will happen. Initially, we can't put a finger on what will support the sales. And I think both of the online and offline should be collaborating. The mall and the retailer should collaborate. The mall and the online player should collaborate. I will see a lot of these collaborations coming up as we go forward. Within the first few weeks of lockdown, you will see all the online players operating from malls.
Yeah, that raises an interesting point over here, Kavindra. So you have utilized all your resources in disinfection processes, sanitization processes, SOPs. So when for your physical retail, you're spending and pumping in money over there. There's extra money that is being coming in, and supply side, it has been shut for the 2 months. So that's a pain point. And then you go forward with the digitization of it all. And there is going to be another set of other protocol that is going to be followed, because when a person is coming in, deciding to, okay, fine, I want to buy a Lacoste t-shirt, or go about getting something from Anita Dongre and showroom, and that comes to your home. Okay, that is sanitized from the warehouse to the is sorted out, and it comes to your home and decides, maybe the size doesn't fit me, or I don't like the color, or I just decided to change my mind, and they want to return it now. it's a cumbersome, tedious process. How have you already thought about it beforehand?
Yeah, so actually, you know what? Yes, so it's a cumbersome process. There are some additional costs which are coming in the new way of working. But I think there's a cost of, making your consumers comfortable with the idea that this brand is something which takes care of me as an institution, right? That she can shop from us without fearing, without having any fear. So I think that these are costs, these are investments to ensure a long-term brand uh, affinity. So I think that's fine. We have thought through the costs. The costs obviously are doubling up in a lot of cases, because if you have to take a return, then you have to get the merchandise back from if somebody has shop from a website and she gets that merchandise and she doesn't like it, so we bring it all the way back. Then we have to do the sanitization. Then we have to again do a reprocessing of that garment. So obviously these are additional costs, right? But I think that's the investment which we need to do as a brand to ensure that our consumers, have the faith in the brand, that this is a brand which is ensuring that in these times, even if it's an additional cost, that's something which is required for my safety. So these are investments for us, Megha, and that's how we look at it. Because I think there's a long-term return of this in terms of consumers being comfortable that this brand was there with us. So I think that is the mindset in which we are looking at. We are not looking at these as costs, and I'm sure a lot of the brands are not looking at these as costs. These are investments to ensure that the business continues. As I think Pankaj spoke, maybe it's a blip of a year, but after that year, and we are all optimists here, I'm sure. So after a year, business will go up, because that is the human nature. That's the way things are. So there's an investment for 1 year. There's a pressure on the balance sheet. Yes, so we'll manage that at our end, but let the consumer get the best experience. I think it's all about consumer experience. Everything else has to ensure that everything which we do has to ensure that the consumers are treated well.
Absolutely. Pankaj, what would you have to contribute to this? You'll have to unmute yourself, Pankaj.
Sorry. See, we all are still trying to understand how is technology playing a role in the customer's shopping and experience and his behavior experience. Today, you do not know where the journey of the customer is standing. Is the journey of the customer starting at the shopping center and it ends on the website or the app store to buy a product or a product or a service, or does it start at the person's house or on his device, or it ends up in influencing the person's behavior in buying something from the shopping center? There are too many times I have seen myself is I have liked something on which I've seen on a Facebook, or I've seen it on an app of a prominent retailer, and I said, oh, listen, when I go to the next shopping center, I definitely would like to go into the store and try that, or I'll pick it up. Today is very, very fungible.
Yeah.
Today, the customer's journey could just start at his handheld, and it could end there. It could influence his journey to buy something in the shopping center as well. So technology is here to stay. I think all of us have kind of understood that. We're kind of imbibing that technology practice in our influencing the customer's shopping behavior, whether he's buying it in the store, in the shopping center, or is he buying it at his house in his convenience, or on his desk, or wherever he may be buying. So I think it's a mix. It's another tool to make the customer options for him to start or end his journey. I think as a shopping center personally also, we are also exploring various ways to say that how can we make our shopping centers more technology enabled for them to create a better shopping experience for our customers. Whether it's contactless dining, which we've done with our Foodbox app, also can the shopping center become a hyper-local delivery model for certain retailers? In saying, I want a white shirt, why should I have to wait 4 days to buy it when it is available in a shopping center down the road, which is 2 kilometers away, and it actually can be delivered on a click of a button in 4 hours. Yeah. So the day that happens, then we'll say, yes, today it is really the customer's experience which is getting built. Today, if I buy anything on a shopping website, the fastest, particularly in fashion, it takes about 2 or 3 days. Yeah. But if it's essential for a smaller goods, which Amazon, which is probably stocked it up, or a Flipkart has stocked it up, it will get delivered to me in 24 hours. But why should it take me 24 hours? If I just need a pair of headphones because I've broken mine, it should be available to me because that's available and stocked up in my latest nearby Chroma store. They should be able to deliver to me in 2 hours' time from the shopping center. So I think
absolutely, yes. I think what you say makes complete sense. Me as an individual, I like to go to a shopping mall, even though I have the ability or I have the luxury of sitting at home and ordering it online. But the very experience of going about to a mall, strolling down, window shopping, deciding on taking my own peace and time to go, maybe even interact with people I'm going out with, my family or my friends. So that's the entire experiential part of creating that experience within a mall. That is very, very important. That is intangible, and it cannot be replaced by digitalization, AI, and other technologies. I thank you all, my guests over here, for joining me on the broadcast. Pranshu, Pankaj, Evendra, and of course Arjun was with us just a short while ago. Some very, very insightful points have come out from this discussion. We are hoping that malls are going to be opening up, but there is indication that lockdown 5 might just be implemented June 1st onwards, but a relaxed set of norms, especially when it comes to malls and retails, is what the hope is. And the ball is in the state government's court. Let's hope and wait how things roll out. It's a trial and error method that is going to be utilized by mall owners, by developers. And obviously, all are hoping that things fall in place, because although it is a new normal, everybody is now craving to go about on their business, go about, have a good time, because it is fall in gloom for way too long. I thank you all once again. Keep watching Newsx, because every day 7 p.m. we are getting industries from across all sectors to bring out their pain points, the challenges they face, what interactions they have been having with the governments, and then finally, what are the solutions they have come up with to fight this pandemic, to fight this lockdown. Thank you very much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.